Just send me the link.
Yeah, let's do it. Getting close.
I waited for you, man. Just wait for it. Live stream. Oh, right.
Should be good. Waiting for Slack.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for Slack. There we go. Right.
Good?
Yeah.
I just buzzed. My pocket just buzzed.
That was my Slack.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get going for the day. You know, we saved the best stuff for last for everybody who, you know, made it back in here today. We're always give you the best stuff. Everybody that leaves yesterday, we cut them out. So thanks for coming back this morning. We do actually have some really cool stuff today. It is really good stuff. I'm excited about the two programs that we have and the updates that you're going to get and the information that we're going to put out today. So we are going to get started. We're going to get started with Tucker. All of you know Tucker, and a lot of you get to talk to him daily at the office. And so we're going to get started with Tucker giving some best practices in IT.
Good morning, everyone. I am going to attempt to explain this as simple as possible. I know it's kind of early in the morning and everyone likes to listen to a nerd talk in front of a crowd. That's all right. I said it, not you. All right, so to kind of talk about what best practices in IT, IT obviously means information technology. The stuff that I'm going to be advising you on is anything that requires a wire and anything on the actual computer itself. Like I said, I'm going to try to explain this as simply as I possibly can. And if any of you guys have any questions of what anything means, just stop me and ask. I'll be happy to explain that. This is what everyone, I think, should do, but each environment is a little bit different. Each workspace has a different dynamic than the last. Some people don't have a faster internet connection than others. Some people have the resources at their hands they may not utilize. It just kind of depends. So this is kind of the most broad advice that I can give someone. So we're going to get started here. So I got just a couple categories. We're going to talk about workstations. These are the physical things that you use, your laptops, your desktops, monitors, routers, things like that. Viruses and malware, that is a huge, huge topic. I tried to take just a little bit off there. I'm sure everyone's going to have some questions on that. That is a very, very short topic. Security, everything everybody probably should do, but that's okay. And then backups. Everyone likes talking about backups. I'm going to try and kind of keep that very, very light. At the very end, I am going to give you some time to ask me some questions, just some general ideas on what you guys are thinking about. So, for workstations, these are for your computers, it's really important to standardize your IT. There at the MarkNet office, we have kind of a mix of Apple, we have a mix of Windows computers, Mac server, you name it. We really try and standardize the software mostly, because you can make Mac and Windows work just fine. The things that we mostly use Microsoft Office and Slack. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about Slack, but it works on all computers. Oh, by the way, we also use some Android phones and some iPhones. It hasn't really impeded us a whole lot. Where it starts to get kind of complicated is when you start using Apple-exclusive software or Google-exclusive software, anything like that. So it's really, really important to make sure that all of the software is compatible with everything. Most of the stuff you guys do is on the internet, which is good. So it just requires a browser, and everybody can use similar browsers. The only thing that you can't do, I believe, is use Safari on Windows, unless that has changed. I think it has. But for the most part, everybody does a pretty good job of standardizing. The part that is really important, I think, is parts. I don't know where you guys get your computers. Sometimes it's Best Buy, online, through a retailer, excuse me. It just kind of depends. It's really, really important because If you guys get warranties, it's really easy just to kind of group them up. Parts are interchangeable, which is really nice. Updates do the same thing. So if one person has an issue compared to another person, you know not to do that. Super duper important to do that, and it's a good idea to try and stick with the same brands. I recommend that for the most part, unless you've had a terrible, terrible experience. It just kind of depends. Now, some cool ways to attempt to standardize your workplaces is you can use some specialty parts. This is kind of where we get into the nitty gritty of it, and you might need to find something to help you out with this. But not taking into account any kind of internet speed. How many people have their computers just hung up? Just loading icons, anything like that? There are some special parts that you can get installed on a computer. My computer at work turns on in 15 seconds every single time. Fantastic. We don't hardly ever get hung up, at least with myself. We use some special parts. They're called SSDs. Most of the computers that you guys use, they have a spinning disk inside of them. You install one of these parts, it's about yay big, and your computer is about 22 times faster. That's an actual number. It's pretty incredible. They're a little bit more expensive, but anytime, if anybody is interested in a new computer, get one of these. And if you guys have any questions about that, email me and I can send you recommendations back. I have sent more recommendations to members about computers and hardware than I can remember. I definitely recommend you get these kind of parts compared to the standard ones. Now, internet is always, 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 always a pain point for a lot of our members, and there's not a whole lot that we can do about where your guys' internet, where you guys get your internet from. It depends on everyone's needs. I see people use their hotspots on their phones. I see people use their local internet provider. It is getting better. There is more people that have broadband now, which broadband is defined as of a certain speed tier, and that's the speed tier that's plenty good for what most of you guys do. About 60% of Americans do have it now, which is very, very exciting, and it is getting better. Telecom companies are definitely starting to expand a bit. For internet speed, again, this is kind of getting into some technical speed, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. We recommend that you get at least 5 megabits per second. You'll see this on like your guys' internet pamphlets when you're starting to either buy it or considering upgrading it. At the office, we use 100. And for the most part, that is plenty fast for us. Now, we also upload information to servers all the time. We have 6 workstations there. Definitely at least 5 if you have 1 or 2 people in the office. But if you can get anywhere above 50 for most of you guys, should be just fine. Yes?
Yesterday when we were watching that live auction online,
yeah.
Download, what would you recommend if you were trying to do that at your office?
15 to 25. Okay. 15 to 25
A
for
designated line?
Say it again.
A designated line?
No, I don't think a designated line, no. As long as you have the right hardware. Because if you guys, we're gonna get into routers here in just a second. That's a good segue. Everybody most of the time uses the router, and this is the little box that has antennas on it that the internet provider mostly gives you. For the most part, the internet provider, the one that they give you, is very inexpensive. It's not very good quality. I recommend you replacing it. Did you have a question?
Well, I'm in the middle of changing providers for internet, and they talk about download speed.
Yes.
And then they don't tell you about upload speed.
Upload speed, super duper important.
Yes.
Kind of as you were saying. So as they did the live stream yesterday, that is solely relying on their upload speed and your download speed. If you're sending out information, that's your upload. If you're receiving information, that's your download. Majority of people do more downloading than uploading. Overwhelming majority. So what you're going to see on most internet providers, they'll say 5 down and 1 up. Not bad. Definitely not great though. Our upload speed is about 25. Yes.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, because there's people when I'm talking to is a 50 download, but 20 or 25.
And that should be pretty good for almost any live stream. At home, I personally have 150, and I have 50 upload, and I have absolutely never had any kind of issues with sending out a live stream at all. I've actually artificially slowed it down to about 10, and I still haven't had any issues. Now, I'm the only one at my place that does that, so if you guys are doing any kind of live stream, it might be important to say, don't watch Netflix, don't go downloading movies while you guys are doing this. It's like I said, it's really location-based. Obviously, closer to the larger cities are going to have better internet connections than half the country. That's just how it is, unfortunately. Can't do a whole lot about that. If you are going to be live streaming on like hotspots, test it first. Speedtest.net is one that is owned by an internet provider. You need to be aware of that. or if you Google as in the verb, speed test, Google has a super, super unbiased one. It works great. It'll actually tell you what caliber of internet you have there at the bottom. So, really good. Anyway, the router that I recommend you buy, dual band, basically, the router is the device that gets to manage all of your laptops, computers, desktops, tablets, phones. And network can only be as good as how well it's managed. Because if you have the most blazing speed, but one of the worst routers ever made, you're going to have terrible connection. A great guideline, $60. But generally speaking, don't spend over 150. Don't need anything like that. Yes?
You're gonna email this out to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everyone can email me at the very end and ask me as much questions as you like.
Copy of the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
So we don't have to keep notes.
No, I mean, if you'd like, that's fine. Yes?
Just from a simple, simple non-IT guy, at my house, I got the mid-grade internet, which is fine, but I went and bought a Nighthawk router, and it was like brand new internet.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
For the most part, the largest bottleneck that I see is the actual internet provider. That's the majority of the time I see. But those Nighthawk routers, those are fantastic routers. But it definitely helps manage everything better. It makes do with what it has. So just a better manager, more efficient. If you got a cable, run it to your computer. We have, I think, 4 of our computers in our office are hardwired in. Not everybody can do it, but if you can, run it. Ethernet cable is about 75 cents a foot. So, viruses and malware. This is by far the most asked question that I get at the MarkNet office is, oh, I have a virus, or oh, I have some malware, or something like that. What's the difference between viruses and malware? Viruses are, their intention is to destroy data and replace it and replicate it. That's the intention of that. Now, a majority of the time, your operating system, Windows or Mac, if you guys do your updates, this should get them taken care of. A majority of the time, they update these because they have research teams that are dozens and dozens and dozens large that try and find new viruses, and they patch their systems. Patching refers to replacing the code that was vulnerable with more secure code. Malware is what everybody gets 95% of the time. Malware is software that gets injected on your computer without your knowledge. You don't know. Most of the time, you see this as random ads on your computer. Your search engine was changed from Google to some random one. Your home page was changed. You see a bunch of pop-up ads at random. That's what the majority of the time. Now, as it gets worse, more malware in your computer lets the gates open a little bit. With viruses, it's really difficult because as good as Microsoft and Apple are, they can't get everything. They just can't. So I recommend you do have some good antivirus. We're going to get into that just a little bit later. But you probably won't know about a virus until it's too late. There was a really, really bad virus attack here recently called WannaCry. This thing encrypts, which encryption is an unbreakable password. End of story. This is the same thing that banks use to secure when you go online. It locks your hard drive, you're done. End of story. Unless you wanted to pay them, I believe it was about $300 to $500. No, not a whole lot of fun. Yes, I've seen a couple people get hit with it, and you just can't do anything with it. So we're going to get into kind of how you can prevent that too. But for the majority, get some good antivirus. Again, we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit because you won't know until it's too late. Yes, Jerry.
Did that hit both Mac and?
Oh yeah, that was everything. That was everything. Now, Macs were far less affected. They were affected by something earlier in the year, but that was Mac only, which was pretty interesting. No one is immune. No one is immune.
Phones?
Phones, for the most part, a lot of people don't code for phones. It's just, don't know why. It's really, really hard to get into a phone's operating system because these things get updated about weekly. It's really, really, really difficult to get into a phone. Plus, these don't have the capabilities as a regular computer nor the processing power of a regular computer. So. Security, updates, as I just said a moment ago. Please, please, please do your updates. I'm hawking on everybody to do them, and even in our MarkNet office, we have people that skip. They're super important for you to do. Easy, I know. Most recently, one of the worst things, this was a huge deal. Intel, it was not just Intel, but a majority affected Intel, which is a computer brain company. A majority of your computers run them. They had 2 huge vulnerabilities. They were referred to as the names are really, really scary, and they should be, was called Spectre and Meltdown. Basically what this allowed hackers to do, so to speak, was to examine the secure transfer of your passwords. Super scary. Now, for the most part, it's been patched out, but for the 2 weeks after the announcement, everybody was losing their minds. So it's really, really, really important to do your updates. I recommend you turn your computer off once a week. A lot of people don't do that, and that's fine.
You can schedule that, can't you?
Yeah, you can schedule that. Now, again, majority of the time, people hit snooze, and remind me tomorrow, remind me tomorrow, remind me tomorrow, and here we are.
Do it at 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning, yeah, exactly. Once a week, it helps your computer do a lot of other things. Your computer does a lot of things in the background that you don't realize. It sometimes needs a break. It's kind of like going in a car. You eventually need to change your oil, and you never change your oil. Same idea. Passwords, everybody is guilty of having. Yes, Jerry?
Viruses, we're back in the department all the time.
Yeah.
We also have a little power thing.
Yeah.
Do the viruses,
Can.
they go to the backup?
Can. There's some software that can prevent that. We're going to get into some backups too, because everyone likes talking about backups. Anyway, everybody is guilty of having weak passwords. I'm guilty of it. The majority of bidders are having weak passwords. Get a password manager. That's what I personally recommend. That's going to be the easiest thing for you to do. It's a piece of software that gives you a 29-digit password, so it's super secure on the website, but it just automatically fills you in for you. It's great. The one that I personally recommend is LastPass. I know Austin uses it. I have used it in the past. Pretty secure. Now, there's never going to be a way to completely make all of your passwords safe, because if LastPass had a data breach, then we're having an issue. But there's been no signs of that, and I don't intend there to be any signs of that. Anything above 8 characters makes it significantly more difficult for someone to get into your computer or someone to get into your account. After about 9 or 10, it becomes almost impossible unless it's really easily guessed. Good antivirus, that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. There are 100 different companies for antivirus. I'm not going to say which one's great, which one's poor. I have used, and I like, WebRoot and Bitdefender. Those are the 2 that I personally recommend. That they're just a great, kind of a great blanket, because they include a lot of other software. Some antiviruses just give you antivirus. These 2 give you anti-malware, a bunch of security things. There are some network security tools. It's pretty impressive. But like I said, you use what you prefer. Some people like Ford trucks, some people like Chevy trucks, some people like WebRoot, some people like Mark. Kind of depends on what you like. The network security, this is something that not a lot of people think about. I know sometimes you guys have offices out in the middle of nowhere, and that's fine. Still put a password on your Wi-Fi. I know they're super annoying when you get a new device. Put a password on there, more than 8 characters. Open Wi-Fi can cause a lot of things. I've seen it one time with someone I was working with, where somebody planted a bug in their network because they had an unsecured network, and it sniffed all the traffic. Pretty significant. Now, the likelihood of that is pretty low, but I'd like the odds to be near 0, if anything at all. What we use here, we use something called a VPN, stands for Virtual Private Network. If you're on public Wi-Fi, kind of like here, or Starbucks, or McDonald's, or wherever you are, technically that is an open network. These people hire these companies to set these up, but if you're on the network and they're on the network too, you can sniff their traffic technically. A virtual private network, they cost about $5 a month maybe, and you can use up to 5 computers. I know Austin uses one, I use one. We use this to actually test our websites overseas. Basically what you can do is, with this piece of software, is you turn it on and you can act like you're in Germany or China or Canada or Mexico. But it creates a secure tunnel for everywhere. Like any Wi-Fi you're at is secure. And this is only as secure as the password you use as well. Everywhere's got a weak point, so you gotta get good passwords as well. VPNs are super, super inexpensive.
Stealth mode on a browser, is that something you recommend using?
I recommend using that. Personally, I use that because I get too many tabs open, so I use that to get a new window. That is no more secure than a regular browser. It just doesn't save your information locally on your computer.
Protect you.
No, it does not. It does not. The internet provider can still see your traffic. The router can still see your traffic. Someone else can still see your traffic.
I was halfway under the impression that it kind of buffered.
Not really. Not really. It just doesn't save anything locally on your computer. Everybody else's computer is, for the most part, they can kind of just look in. Now, there are some browsers that have attempted this, but they don't get any kind of mainstream appeal. It's mostly Internet Explorer, Edge, Chrome, Firefox, and Opera. majority of it is Firefox and Chrome. For backups, we do them. Everybody doesn't like to do backups. All computers will fail. They're mechanical devices. They might be struck by lightning. Every single machine in this room will eventually fail. That's how it is. There's a lot of different ways to do them. I know, Jerry, you said that you do Carbonite. They're a cloud backup service. That's a great, great, great idea. And it works. Oh yeah, definitely.